Okay, we are back. It is our day number 7, last day of the 7-day live to break free from the survival mode trap and make this your best year abroad yet. And I am glad to see some people here with us who have been here all week. Certainly, we've each had different things in our schedule, but um, it's exciting. If you're watching this replay, then you have, invested in yourself and really taken the time um, to do something good for you and for your time abroad. And I'm excited about that. We have a lot to celebrate. Yesterday, specifically, we talked about observation and curiosity and how these tools deepen our cultural fluency. And I had fun with that. I really enjoyed just that opportunity to kind of slow down, and we used a little bit of video to, um, yeah, practice what can be a tool that you can utilize in your own life. So if you haven't seen that yet, definitely go back and look at the replay. But let's celebrate what we've done this week. We have recognized and begun to break free from survival mode. We've learned to celebrate small wins, and we've been doing that to build confidence. We've really not only talked about, but experienced how powerful rest is to recharge and to stay consistent and to keep our ability to have momentum. We looked at how to reconnect when we're feeling disconnected and isolated, and to make the most of those relationships, either that are local or that are far, far away. And we've deepened cultural fluency through observation and curiosity. So that is a lot to celebrate. And yes, while this challenge has given some powerful tools, I believe, to break out of that survival mode and, maybe just get something a little bit different in perspective and mindset, the journey certainly does not end here. Thriving overseas takes ongoing intentionality, support, and resources, which is why it's so important to let this be a foundation and to keep building on what we've done this week. So, to help you continue on this path to transformation, I've created the Culture Shock Solution. It is a online coaching program designed to take about 3 months to give you a proven step-by-step roadmap based on our holistic 7-strand approach that we've talked about some this week. There's personalized coaching throughout, both in one-on-one coaching sessions as well as weekly group coaching sessions to help address your unique challenges and goals, and to provide that touch base with other people and have accountability and support. And there's also a Facebook community that's just clients, so a few people that you're able to support one another and share what you're going through together. So these tools can help you to go beyond surviving and start to truly thrive. And to give you a sneak peek of that, I'm really excited to invite you to the bonus session. There is a bonus session in the 7-day live series, and that's going to be on Wednesday, the 19th. And it is about, a sneak peek view behind the scenes of the Culture Shock Solution, where you'll have the opportunity to have a Q&A time and get personalized support and questions and answers, what you want to know, and learn the details of how our program helps expats to overcome culture shock and build thriving lives abroad. So it's an opportunity to see exactly how the program works, to hear some stories of how other clients have been able to use it and really benefit, and get a feel for how it can support your unique journey. So that is February 19th, this coming Wednesday at this same time. Um, so there is a link where you can sign up so that you make sure you get everything that you need to, and that will be available here in the chat, as well as that will be available in the, yeah, if you're watching this replay, look around, the link will be right there as well, probably right above this video. So there's that. But if you happen to be somebody who's like, um, I really want a little bit more personalized conversation about that, and I want to, um, yeah, get a little bit more one-on-one guidance about what might be good for me personally going forward. I also want to make my personal calendar available to you if you'd like to set up a culture shock consultation, and we can actually talk about your specific journey and the challenges you're specifically facing and what might be a good fit and good support for you going forward. So I'll drop that link as well in just a little bit. But for now, let me just, yeah, show you one slide. Let's see, here we go. Yeah, so this is the culture shock solution, and you can see the 7 strands that are part of our holistic approach. We talked about those earlier this week, and really we're looking at how to build the life that you want to live. And like I said, there are a few different components to the program that you can see. Part of that is actually an online course with 12 modules of lessons that really go through laying that firm foundation, and everything that we've talked about this week, really building on that in a number of different ways. So that's some information for you. And now I'm ready, and I hope that you are ready to jump into some group coaching. So if you will, go ahead and unmute yourself, and I'll give you just a little bit of update on what coaching, yeah, what I mean by coaching, because there are some different ways that people can talk about coaching, and what we're talking about is a very collaborative conversation where it's actually not necessary for you to explain everything that you know and understand about your situation, because we're trusting that you're the one who's going to be able, as we work together, to have those new aha moments, those new ideas, and decide your way forward. And so, in a consultation, it might be really necessary to kind of explain all the details of the situation. And then a mentor or a consultant would say, okay, great, I've heard everything. Here's what I think you should do. But in coaching, what we're looking at is this sort of collaborative work where there's co-creation. And as you are responding to questions, then I'm listening to your responses and then asking further questions, or maybe giving a mirror to reflect back something. And it helps us to move forward. And it's going to be really remarkable where you can go in a relatively short amount of time, because I don't have to try to guess what's the best choice for you, and you don't have to make sure that I fully get it, but rather we just help each other to take that next step forward in the conversation, and ultimately with what we do with after the conversation. So we're going to do this in a group way. So one of the things that we will want to be mindful of is making sure that there's space for each other to communicate, and I'll kind of direct our conversation as well. So I have a question for you, and I'm going to go ahead and turn off the share so we can just see each other. If you want to, if you're in a place where you can, feel free to turn on your video. If you don't want to, that's fine. You can just interact with audio. Chat is still available, but I think the audio conversation is really going to have value if you're open to that. So first of all, any question about this group coaching process that we're going into before we start? No? Okay, well, let's just dive in. I'm happy to see your faces. How exciting. Here we are together. Okay, so the first question that I have for you today is, as you think back over this past week, what are your 3 biggest takeaways. So even before you speak, take a moment there to think throughout this 7 day live series, what are your three biggest takeaways? And if you are watching the replay right now, I encourage you to let this be a reflective exercise. Go ahead and write down your responses to this, maybe even share it with us in the comments. But what are your three biggest takeaways? This can be something that I shared, but it doesn't have to be. It can be an aha moment you had during one of the sessions or even as you were thinking about it during the week. But what are a few of your takeaways this week? Feel free to just jump in when you've got something in mind that you want to share.
I've got three.
Okay. Awesome.
Trust. Specifically in my own instincts.
Yeah.
Rest. Yes. Don't have enough rest built into my schedule. And strength in community.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Trust, rest, and strength in community. Okay. Yeah. Somebody else. What's some of the things that really, stood out? Go ahead, Denise. Yeah.
I didn't know if we should raise our hand or not. I don't want to. I can't see if
you don't have
somebody else who
to.
wants
That's
to speak.
okay. Yeah.
All right. So my three takeaways, and the first one is actually the day of rest. And then I thought about it and went, wow, like we're doing a 7th day. When we had that discussion about day of rest, and today's like my pamper me day, and I usually don't jump on calls. So as you are teaching and training us, I think that you also need to think about your day of rest. I made today an exception because I found your class to be, I've done the cross-cultural, but for me, I'm going to point something out that I want to say that might resonate with some people. But when I'm a Greek American, I grew up in America. So I came to Greece at 18 years old, never had been here before, never stepped my foot. In the 1970s, quickly, America's policy was don't speak another language. So we grew up, we understood what my mom had said, but we didn't know all the words and we couldn't speak it. So when I got to Greece, I knew some words, but then that was as far as I went. Your Greek and my Greek would have been the same level. So don't feel bad. But for me, coming to Greece was different experience because I wasn't an outsider. I'm Greek. So it was really connecting with who I am.
Right.
Do you see what I mean? Whereas now, after being between two countries, I'm going to venture off and I'd like to experience a whole new culture, a whole new way that's not my native, not American and not Greek, like how you did Korea. Totally different, right?
Right.
So staying connected with old friends, regardless of the country, because you create friends. And I've lived half my life here and half my life in America. So I have friends in the States, friends here, and staying connected with them. And then my other one is the openness to new information, new culture, and becoming immersed in it, because sometimes we have a hard time accepting new ideas. So I'm preparing myself to be open to receive new ways, to try new things. So last night, this is why I missed class, because I've been so busy with the idea, try something new, that yesterday I went to the farmer's market and I had looked up recipes.
Okay.
And I went and I got the ingredients and I cooked for the first time something totally different from a culture, totally different than mine, other than, like Italian or Mexican, because we cook that in America anyways.
Right.
But from the culture that I've been considering, and it came out pretty good.
Yay! That's exciting.
So I figured, well, I'll try. I've never had their food. I thought, well, let me try something. Let me try to find an easy recipe to just get a taste of it. And it happened to be that all the spices, I had them. So I thought that was a win, because I went like, oh, that's not that bad.
Yeah, so, that's totally a win. That's really a win, Denise. I
So
remember
I,
that's one of the in the kind of like game that we played at one point, like a bingo style game. That was one of the
yes.
things, and you let that, yeah, become a seed, and oh, went and did it. That's
So then I
exciting.
thought, today's Saturday. I'm going to go to the Saturday market. So yesterday I was busy cooking and I
Yes,
totally forgot about class. And then when I thought of class, I was like, oh
you are
no, it's
in
like
the moment.
way. I was so immersed because I bought the stuff and came home and went straight to cooking. And it was like, oh
Yeah,
wow, like I
that's
missed
great.
class. But when I realized I missed class, I cooked. And it was like, shoo.
Ah,
So
that's okay. That's
that's
what we've
why
got
I
the
missed class.
replay. Totally. So what I'm going to do is
But
I'm going to jump
it
in here
was
and I'm going to,
it was
yeah, kind of
exciting.
bring a pivot for all of us because yes, what you're doing is really opening the door right into that next question that I had. And if there's something else in takeaways that you want to share, you can still throw those in the chat or the comments. But then yeah, we celebrate that with you, Denise, and let's spend a moment celebrating some wins this week. What are some action steps that you've already taken or that you've scheduled, you've actually put on your calendar to be able to take as a result of some of the conversations that we've been having this week? Let's celebrate some wins.
I have scheduled a half hour of research on the different places I like to
Great.
go. So I've
Yes.
scheduled a half hour in the evening of cultural research time in my evening writing so that I can look for things and try to put things in order in my mind
Okay. That's
and try to decide where I'd like to
That's
go.
exciting because I know you have that dream that you're ready to move and you also know what your timeline is. And so it would be easy to just kind of let that be on the back burner. But to be proactive and go ahead and put that on the schedule, make it real now. That's wonderful. What about you,
Yeah.
Emma?
For me, it's trusting my instinct, as I mentioned before. So
Yes.
looking at my schedule on Friday, I had a job interview
Yeah.
and it ran over, which was a positive thing. But then I did
Mm-hmm.
put that normal pressure on myself to now I
Yeah.
have the culture shock online
Yeah.
webinar and I have to get home and I have to do this and I have to do
Yes.
that. So having that flexibility of trusting my instinct, you say, what
Mm-hmm.
do I need now? What do I need today out of those 7 steps, for example?
Yeah, right.
And trusting my instinct more that I'm taking what I need from the resources around me
Mm-hmm.
rather than sticking to a schedule of shoulds.
Right. Yes. Yes, that idea of should can really get in our way. Like there's so many things we could do, and when we keep them in could and it's a possibility, and even when we get to that place where we make decisions to do what I want to do, what I value doing, what's important to me to do, that feels different than I should, I have to, you know? And so even if the results are the same, that's a huge mindset shift. And like you're saying, to trust your instinct, because if I live by shoulds, I can just like very rigidly do certain things that I've established or that others have established that maybe aren't even really relevant for me. But being able to say, no, I'm here today and I'm looking at what's available and what's needed and I'm making a choice of what's the best with this situation with this time. Yeah, that's really huge. That can be like totally a game changer, right? Yeah, and I see in the chat I plan to add in more language study this week to bring my vocab flashcards and study a bit more on my commute. And then I can celebrate that as a win. And that's really great. And there's a win right there in the plan, right? Um, you've been living overseas for a while. You can do a lot with the language. And so it's easy to just let that slip into the background as you're just trying to do life. But to go, wait a second, I want to go deeper in this. And here's my plan. Um, that is already a win. That's already a shift in how do I want to prioritize my time? What's on my mind? And I see a little conversation developing. Somebody's learning Norwegian. Yeah, what languages are we learning? Denise, are you going to have to learn a new language in your and your possibilities forward? You
Yeah.
don't have to
So
say which ones.
well, one of the languages is Spanish, but in America, people speak Spanish. So I know a little bit of
Mm-hmm.
Spanish, but I would definitely need a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, like a lot of possibilities. I don't know. Let's
Yeah.
see. I also
Totally.
like Italy, so Italian's a different
Mm-hmm.
language as well. You
Yeah,
know.
absolutely. I'm actually I'm torn. Part of me wants to do this. And actually is I am taking some steps on um, I do speak Korean. I think I would definitely qualify as proficient. Fluency, I mean, I can communicate in any situation, but I know that there's some things that I could do and need to do to really polish that. Like, I wouldn't want to do like an academic presentation in Korean. I could communicate the concepts, but it wouldn't be pretty, right? And so there's a part of me I want to go ahead and really like cross that barrier, not just be able to communicate, be able to communicate well with
So
nuance
can I
and
suggest something to
eloquence.
you?
Sure.
That I found that's amazing
Hmm.
is ChatGPT can teach you a new word every day and pronounce it and practice it with you.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. It makes sense. Yeah, very cool.
So
Um,
if you go on you don't even have to do it. Like if you have Google Translate, you can put the word in that you want to learn, and it'll
mhm,
say it, and you can repeat it, and it'll
mhm.
translate it in any language. But if you go to ChatGPT, all you have to do is tell it, "I want to start learning X language. Can we practice words every day?" And it'll do it with you.
Wow, that's amazing. Very cool. Thanks for sharing that. And I also want to mention here as well. I love this. There's a conversation happening in the chat. So exciting about language. Yeah. So we've got some ideas of some steps we want to take and some things we're working for. And I just want to come back and just acknowledge it's a huge win. You're here. It's day 7. Um, I mentioned yesterday, I am ready to sleep in. And like you said, Denise, actually, I really wrestled with whether to do a 7-day series because it's really important to me to take that 7th day and rest each week. And so, um, yeah, I am very excited about tomorrow being a rest day, and it's a day overdue because
So
of the
did you
schedule
ever
here. So
think
I'm going
that?
to make an adjustment
Did,
next time we do this. But I want to just acknowledge the win for each of you to be here on day 7. If you're watching the replay, the win that you're following through, whether it's, this afternoon or 2 weeks from now, you're getting there, you're doing it. Those are wins. And then I want to think a little bit, a little bit more globally. We've talked about some takeaways, we've talked about some action steps. But if you take a deep breath and just kind of reflect, where were you? What was your mindset um, a week ago before we started the series? And what has been the impact overall for you personally? Is it mindset? Is it energy? Is it momentum? Is it a new idea? But what has been like kind of the overall impact of this series for you? And again, it doesn't have to be a thing I said. It can be something that you've thought of. It can be just something about what we've done has kind of sparked something in you. What's that? What's different?
so can I go first?
Go right ahead.
Um, so I think that I took the class going, well, let's see what I could possibly learn, even though I've already done an international move. And I was reconnecting to my heritage. So I had relatives here, relatives in the States. And so I made new relatives. I met new relatives and I bonded with them too. So it was a little different. So when you said on Friday that I talked to a friend that you haven't talked to in a long time, I did contact somebody that I haven't talked to in a long time. That we
Yeah.
were very close, but
Hmm.
it made me realize that in the old days when I moved to Greece and we were writing, and I lost contact with a friend that I grew up with, and we went to high school together and graduated. Jackie is her name, and
Hmm.
then we didn't reconnect until a couple of years ago at our 30 reunion, and that was like a long time ago. And so now we're
No
all
one's
on a
doing math.
Facebook
No math.
group. Okay. We have a school Facebook group for the girls from our school, and there's like 96 of us on it from 153 girls that graduated together. There are a couple that have passed away. But I want to say is that it made me realize I sat down and thought about it and thought, well, now it's going to be easier because when I leave Greece and I leave America, even if I decide to go to Peru, I still talk to everybody. So all I have to do is reach out on Facebook. I
Yeah,
can pick up WhatsApp and just talk to
right,
whoever I miss.
right.
So that global loneliness as a global globetrotter going here and going there,
Mhm.
I'm not going to feel it the same. And I was thinking, oh, when I leave, it's going to be so hard. But then I thought about it when we're doing class, and it's like, wow, we're all connected today in a way that you cannot connect years
Yeah,
ago when I first did it.
right.
So I just wanted to bring to light that, like today, I sit back and go, well, I'm not lonely because there's no point to being lonely because I can talk to my friends at any time. I've got WhatsApp. They have WhatsApp, and you don't lose them anymore. As long as you get an internet connection, you can connect with anyone, anywhere in
Right,
the world, as long as you want to. That's all
right.
that matters.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about, I
So
remember
that
you
was my big
sharing.
waha, my big aha.
Yeah, and I remember you sharing early in the week. I think you put it in the Culture Shock Hub community that one of the things that you wanted to overcome is yeah, some concerns about, your community, friends and family who are like, why would you move away? Why would you do that? And I love
Oh,
how
that's
this can connect to that because there is a way for you to be present even when you're taking the steps you need to
that's
take
gonna.
for you.
So
Yeah.
and when I announce this to my family, they're
Mm-hmm.
gonna be like, yeah, she's off in her own world again.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to hear the criticisms, but I'm just going to go past it because it's
Right.
my life. And there's something that really resonated with me that I heard this morning online.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that, nobody else can walk in my shoes. So
Totally.
why should I leave anyone else's ideas or opinions shape
Mm.
what's good for me? And
Right.
so, at 18, I got married and I became a mom and graduated high school, got married and became a mom. And um, I graduated May 3rd. And by October 7th, I was married. And March
Mm-hmm.
23rd of the following year, I wasn't a year graduated from high school and I became a mom.
Wow.
Um, so I
But
never had those go to the
yeah,
bars and do all such
right.
single days because I didn't have single days. I graduated
Right.
high school, got married, and started a family.
Jumped right in.
And
So this is
so
your
for
time,
me, this
right?
is my single days,
Yeah, totally. I'm gonna jump in
even
here because I
though
want to
everybody
make sure
thinks
that
I'm
we're
gone
giving
crazy.
everybody a chance, right? We want to give space for everybody.
Yeah.
Um, so I do want to say then, okay, so no, let me see, where would you like what we've been talking about here, what we've been learning, the shifts that you've been making in your mindset and your plans, where would you like what we have learned here to take you over the next 6 months or year? So take a moment and kind of look at trajectory. Okay, you know where you come over the past 7 days. Where would you like this to take you over the next 6 months or year? We'll take a pause and just kind of reflect. Yeah. Yeah, Denise, I know you're gonna travel and go and take a look and see, get closer to making that decision. Where's the next move? How about you, Emma? Where would you like to be over the next 6 months or a year?
Obviously we're talking about culture shock. So for me, I think the biggest reason I joined this group was to make the integration process less painful, and go from surviving to thriving. So that was my goal when I started. But what I've realized now, and we're talking about in the context of also looking for work, but there's lots of byproducts from this process, to be able to identify my own value or re-identify my own value, because that's something that I need the ability to gain confidence in myself, but be able to pitch it to others in job interviews. But I think the byproduct of that will go into the first part of actually just
Right.
building my confidence and going from surviving as an expat to actually
Right.
thriving and owning my value.
Right. Right. Because when we're, living, we're kind of translating ourselves into the culture, right? Literally, sometimes with language, trying to, how do I get what I know and what I can experience into words that this person, in front of me can understand. But also culturally, how do I show up in a way that makes sense? Like, I know, I spoke with someone a few months ago where um, they have quite a sense of humor, and that's very important to them, to be kind of witty and subtle in their humor. And humor, of course, is just like language. It's different from place to place and culture to culture. And so their humor was not translating into the culture where they were. And it just felt like such a loss, because it's like this big part of how they want to show up in the world is totally being missed, right? And so what you're talking about, it's easy for us to start to, see ourselves with the limitation, and to be more aware of the things we can't do today and we can't communicate, than it is to remember, no, wait, these are things that are true about me, whether or not I've been able to express them right here, right now. And being able to not lose sight of those values that we hold, as well as, I hear what you're saying, our own value, what we bring to relationship, to companies, to community. So that's really beautiful to come back to, okay, what is my value? What can I contribute here? Well, how can I show up? And when I say contribute, I don't just mean do. What can I do? That's part of it. But who am I and what do I bring? And that's beautiful. To
Yeah,
really
because a
go
lot
ahead.
of companies actually have, I was looking up a company today,
Yeah.
some research, and a lot of companies are using this diversity, inclusivity, equity slogans. Bring your authentic self to work. And I actually had a discussion with many people about this, especially expat community, that the new culture that we're struggling to thrive in. One of those reasons is because we feel we can't bring our authentic self to work,
Right.
and I'm not sure the company, the corporate world really understands this, because if they don't have that perspective of being an expat, it's very difficult unless you've been in someone's shoes. So it's
Totally.
given me a question. I wrote a question down today reflecting on this program this week that I'm going to ask at an interview as an interview question, and that's, how do you encourage your employees to bring their authentic self to work? So I think it's an interesting question, and if it's relevant, I can use it. But I think the empowerment of having that question and thinking that's something I can ask, because if they're promoting that, then
Right.
it's a valid question. I'm not here to educate them on integration processes for their employees, but it, I want to be happy at the place I'm working.
Right.
So if I can't give as much as I can of my authentic self, it's not going to be a long-term
Right.
arrangement, is it?
Right.
So
You're gonna feel that disconnect. Right.
yeah, there's always going to be that. I think you mentioned it earlier. Am I saying the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? Can I say this? Am I showing up?
Right.
Wearing the right clothes and saying the right things. So it's something that in the culture I'm trying to integrate to,
Mm-hmm.
that's been reflected of, you don't have to do that. And it's, yes, we feel we do. Maybe we don't,
Mm-hmm.
but we feel we do. So it's like an
Mm-hmm.
obstacle that we give ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's,
Can I ask a question?
I think Denise, you're asking Emma, is that right?
Yes, yes. Eva, so you're going to ask your employer, and I'm an employer. How do you encourage your employees to be their authentic self? If somebody were to ask me that, because I'm an employer, I hire guys that work with me. I would expect them to just be themselves. I never expect my employees to be someone they're not. Either their mindset goes with my company, and I usually give them a trial period, or I have to let them go because they just don't work in the capacity that I expect. As an interior decorating and painting company, I hire guys, so I have this standard of clean that is way above a man's standard. So it's one of the first things I tell guys, that when they're going to work with me, we're going to go into places, but we're going to leave it cleaner than what we found it. Sometimes they look at me and they're like, and then when they see the level of clean I mean, then when they get, and sometimes they've had issues, and I'm like, well, then, some of them have reformed. And then others, I said, thank you for your service. Don't come to work tomorrow.
Not a
You'll
great
need to
match,
look for
right?
someplace else.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, so I wanted to like give you a sample of like what I do. I expect everyone to be their authentic self. I expect people to be team players in my company, and I do consult my team. I make the final decision. But when somebody's an expert or has more years experience than me in doing something, I want to hear how he's going to tell me. I might have saw a technique online, or the product line might have a video training, and I'll tell him, well, no, they do it like this. And either he does it by the new standards and upgrades the way he does it, or sometimes I will insist on it. Sometimes I'll go, okay, just do it the way you normally do it. Whatever's the best decision for the product, or the item that we're working on. So I don't know your field, but that's like something that you should consider when you ask your employer, how do you expect to be your authentic self? Prepare yourself to have an answer. Like, what kind of answer do you want to hear from him? What is it that you do think that you should be doing to be your authentic self?
Hmm. Yeah, what's your thought, Emma?
Yeah, I mean, the question is a literal one that I've written down. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be asked exactly how that is, because you have to rephrase it depending on the person that you're speaking to and the type of interview it is and the type of company. But essentially, you're asking them what their diversity and inclusivity policy is,
Mm-hmm.
and how they support employees.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's very, it obviously differs culture to culture.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, an American culture is different to a Norwegian culture, which is different to a British culture. And you have to be aware of those cultural sensitivities. So we're really talking about
Yeah,
getting the employer to define their definition of what authenticity is and what they're looking for in authenticity. Because if they're just an employer that's using buzzwords, it's not an
Mm-hmm.
employer that's going to suit me as an
Right.
expat.
And
But
that's,
this
yeah.
is kind of where I'm coming at from, to
yeah,
make sure that it's a good cultural fit both ways.
right. Yeah, and that I love that about the question, and just even the idea of asking a question like that, because what you're getting at is I want to let them talk about this a little bit. And like Denise is saying, there's a wide range of how they might respond. But then I love what you're doing, Emma, is you're making a decision. Is this going to work for me? Not, okay, so I have to show up that way. Got it. But can I show up in a way that's honoring of my value and fits here? No, I'm going to keep looking. Yeah, yeah, that's good. Because, yeah, both people have a choice there in that. We don't just have to take this opportunity because it's the one that's right here, right? So Okay, and I see in the chat a goal here to have more successful interactions is defined as increasing my understanding of the other speaker's language use and their understanding of me. So more understanding in conversation and interactions. Yeah, that's beautiful. And the language connects to that. The being attuned and really listening connects to that. That's great. So here's another question, and I'm mindful of our time. We've probably got maybe 7 or 8 minutes, so we just have just a minute or two each to kind of answer these last two questions. So the first question is, when you think about making this your best year abroad yet, and you think about some of the things you've already said here, some other things, this is holistic. So kind of looking at the big picture, your whole life. What obstacles do you anticipate to that goal that you just talked about, to making this your best year yet in the country that you're in? What's the obstacle that's gonna interrupt your momentum, that's gonna like kind of downgrade your mindset where you're like, okay, I had some hope I could move forward, and then what's the biggest obstacle that you're anticipating? Yeah, go ahead.
For me, it'll probably be picking the country and then picking the date where I will, like look for a job or figure out if I can be at the financial level that I want and then actually making the move.
Right. You've got a few big hurdles ahead of you, right? And
Yeah.
and that need to like at some point pull the trigger on it, right? And to make it actuality. No turning back point. Yeah. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody else, what are the obstacles that maybe they're already kind of something you're fighting past each day, or maybe it's something that like, okay, this is probably gonna this is what's gotten me in the past. This is likely to happen again.
I think for me, it's consistency and routine, and I'm not sure how that links to motivation or building resilience. But those three keywords, I need to find out how they're intrinsically linked together. So motivation, routine, and resilience, because being able to do one of those three things when you come across adversity,
Right.
yeah, it'd be good to know how they connect.
Yeah, motivation, resilience, routine. That is a lot of the conversations that within the culture shock solution, then those weekly group sessions that we have, like that's the conversation every week. That's the conversation. Okay, here's where there were wins. This is where the struggle was. What do I want to do when I get like, do I have to lose a whole week if I get off routine on the second day? How do we plan for inconsistency so that we can increase our consistency, right? I love that. That's a very realistic. Yeah, like we're all facing that. Totally. I wish we had a lot more time. I'd love to ask you some questions and kind of like go ahead and do some kind of brainstorming. And okay, so what does this look like for you currently? How do you want to anticipate and create some problem solving before the problem comes up? Maybe we can do a one-on-one and do that. I'm seeing in the chat here, 2 obstacles for me are my language is good enough to do what I need to do daily. Right. And that can be an obstacle to keep us from pushing forward, right? Because you don't have to, but yeah, other things can easily become more important. Yeah. So how to keep that motivation, that priority in front of you. And I think connecting to, yeah, Emma, were you going to say something?
Oh, I was just going to agree about having that feeling that my language isn't good enough to do what I need to do daily. and get from survival to thriving. And that's something that you obviously work on it, and I see that Marshall's working on it, as we all are. But I think working on it and what is factually correct of our level of language and what we perceive is good enough in order to go from survival to thriving can be two different things.
Right.
So I've been trying to work on my mindset of, okay, I am where I am. I accept where I am now. What do I need to do more efficiently to get to where I get to? But just be really happy with how I can show up now. Because if I'm beating myself up the whole time that I'm not good enough with the language to do what I want to do, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So I just wanted to add that I've got a little breakthrough on that recently. So
yeah. And I hear that there's almost like a catch-22, right? Because if I keep thinking, I can't, then that kind of can keep me stuck in that. And then I can also get stuck in, it's good enough. And either way, hold myself back. So what does it look like to be clear on where is it that I want to go? Where is somewhere in my life that it's going to make a difference for me to put in this effort? But also building that on the knowledge that, look how far I've come. I've come this far. I can make that next step. Yeah, I love that. And I think in all of these things, as we're talking about the variety of obstacles that we face, one more question, and this is the last question, is what support will you need to overcome those obstacles and truly make this your best year abroad yet? What kind of support would help you to keep that motivation, to build that consistency, to move forward in language, to make those decisions and take those big steps? A lot of times we make goals for ourselves. We recognize where we want to go, and we don't have the support that we need. And then we're hard on ourselves because I couldn't get to where I haven't been before, but I didn't give myself any opportunity, any support, any resource to get there. So what kind of support do you need to move forward on the things that are important to you this year?
I think one of the things that I need is going to be time and clarity of mind, and deciding where I'm going to feel comfortable. And that's going to only be confirmed by actually going there. So I'm tossing up between 4 places. And then at the end of this year, I want to narrow it down and at least see 2 out of the 4. The top 2 that I think will be the most exciting. And then I'll have 2 backups just in case I go. And then I go, no, that's not for me. Then I will pick another place to go visit. So I want to have 4 places. I have two years before I fully can retire in one country. And I want to be able to have made a decision so that by then, if I can get my interior decorating fully online and supporting me financially online, then I could do the move sooner.
Yeah. So I hear several action steps, several decisions that are there. And then, that support system, accountability, the things that are going to come around you. It's going to be huge. How about for you?
I have an accountability partner. So that part, I know I have an accountability call once a week for 30 minutes.
That's good. Yeah. Somebody else. What do you need to add in? What kind of support to get where you want to go? I see in the chat if there's community doing what I'm doing as well. Yeah, that's huge to have some people who have a shared direction. We're heading this way. We hold this same mindset. Yeah, that can be really valuable. And even like some diversity in that community so that you can, yeah, learn from each other and be motivated and get new ideas as well. Totally. Yeah.
I think for me, those two things are linked. What Denise said about having an accountability partner, but not in a too formal sense that I feel that's another thing I've got to add in to my already stressful existence of trying to integrate into a new culture. But I like what Marshall's saying here, because I found exactly that myself recently. And it gives me an informal accountability, so a monthly network meeting of a group of women that are doing the same thing I'm doing in sustainability, different ages, different, some are expats, some are natives as well, different ages, different backgrounds, different industries they work in. So that for me has helped quite a lot. It's given me that accountability to show up every month and think, what have I got that's new to say? But it's not a formal professional pitch elevating type of network meeting. It's more, yeah, informal,
Organic,
which it doesn't add the shoulds and the musts in.
Right.
Does that make sense? So I really champion that comment,
Yeah,
Marshall.
that's beautiful. That's really beautiful. Right. Right. To have the kind of support that you need. And for some of us, it might be like, you know, we need that coach that's just like, go do the thing, you know. But for a lot of us, what you said earlier, just about that trusting your own instinct, and what I would believe like with coaching is you're the one who is the expert on your life. You have lived every single day of it. And you know the dreams that you have. And so to just have that support to be able to put those pieces together, and whether that's a group of people where you really feel that comfort and that freedom to show up authentically, or that's somebody who can come alongside and ask the questions and give the feedback that we need. I love that. I love that kind of organic life on life support. So as we are coming up to the end of our time right now, this is your moment. We've been together these last 7 days. And if you have been, feeling stuck or unsure about how to thrive abroad, hopefully you've gained some tools this week, some perspective this week, that will serve as a foundation point to build upon. And this is just the beginning. It may be that the Culture Shock Solution, that program that we offer could be a next step for you. And if you're not sure about that, I just want to invite you either to come on Wednesday and just kind of learn more about the program. I think that you'll walk away with some takeaways. And if you would rather just like have a one-on-one conversation with me and look a little more closely, maybe we'll spend about, if we do an hour call, maybe we spend about 40 minutes and it's coaching, and it's okay, you kind of in the driver's seat, where am I headed and what do I need to get there? And then if you're a fit for the program, I'll share a little bit more about how it can help you with this, life transformation to increase your clarity, your confidence, and your support. So either way, I do just want to remind you that for those of you who have been a part of this 7-day live series, I am adding a few bonuses to the program for you. First is a huge a 30% discount, and then also an extra one-on-one coaching call during your time in the program. So those are some things, because I just want to acknowledge you've been showing up for yourself. You're putting in time, and time is precious. And so I hope that this time has been as valuable to you as it has been to me. And I have so enjoyed our conversations and really look forward to continuing them. So don't be a stranger, stay in touch, and hopefully I'll see you on Wednesday or maybe even sooner. I'm going to send out an email in a couple of hours, and it'll have a link to my personal calendar. And so you can set up a call with me if you'd like to. That call is free. This is not a bait and switch. It's a free call, and hopefully it will be valuable to you, and you can go from there. But I encourage you to, yeah, take a moment to reflect in the Culture Shock Hub. Tell us what this has meant to you, and feel free to keep putting questions in there and ideas as things continue to formulate. Let's keep this conversation going. If you have any questions, feel free to stick around. Otherwise, I will see you hopefully in the near future. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kate, and thank you, ladies. And I appreciate everything that I've learned this week and everybody's shared.
Me too. It's been beautiful.